on now to part 2 of the review of Can You See Me by Libby Scott and Rebecca Westcott. I also like to give fact that the book included examples of very subtle social faux pas. Because often in autism literature, the social problems, the social faux pas, are kind of very extreme, exaggerated portrayals that almost kind of reek of caricature. So I love the way that this book showed the more subtle presentations of this, which is just closer to reality really for many autistics. On page 169, Tally goes to Layla's sleepover. I've never ever personally had experiences of sleepovers. Never, ever in my whole life have I gone to one. So that was something obviously, not in my own experience directly. But I could relate to the following. Layla's mum, who is standing in the hall, says, Hello Tally, it's great that you're here. Tally replies by saying, hello, it's great that you're here too. So it seems on the surface, well, what's the problem? She's displaying politeness, good manners, good, it would appear, social skills. But actually, this is an awkward social situation. But I just love the way that it's done so subtly. Because there's a pause after Tally replies by saying, hello, it's great that you're here too. There's a pause and Tally replays the greeting in her head, realising, too late, that she's got it wrong. This is because, of course, Layla's mum would be here, as it's her house. So this type of social awkwardness is so familiar to me. I've lost count of the occasions I've been caught out like this. Because of not being sure what to say, autistics might repeat back in kind what the other person has said in order to fit in, a kind of like social parroting. I used to do this a lot when I was younger, and people would be like, why are you repeating what I've just said? I remember that when I was at school. It's like it's a subtle social faux pas, because on the surface it appears like, you're saying the right thing, you're being polite, but actually you're just basically copying what the other person has just said. So it's not quite, it's subtle, but it's, it results in sort of social awkwardness. It's not the expected response. It comes across, I guess, maybe as a bit stilted, a little bit, it's not spontaneous, it's a bit, contrived. But obviously because, you're struggling to understand the social rules, you haven't really got much choice but to copy others. So it can make us seem different, yet in a very subtle, inexplicable way. We are out of step with other people, making us feel very socially awkward. I loved the way Tally's social problems were explored in such an understated way, and it felt very real to life and my own social problems. So, that gave the book a big thumbs up for me. Tally clenches her fists, digging the nails into the palms of her hands, while replaying the conversation and what she did wrong. I can relate to this too, as I often clench my fists when in awkward situations. No one sees this, because I tend to do it in a very subtle way, they're often in my pockets, but it's a way of getting rid of that tension. You're like, oh my god, that was awkward. And you're trying to fit in, but you're feeling tense, you're not quite sure what to say, so you tend to repeat what the other person has said, it comes out a bit wrong, but in a very subtle way. And I guess if someone isn't aware of autism, they might not even pick up on it, but it might just give them a very slight kind of, guess it's a little bit awkward, but maybe can't quite place it because it's not like you're coming across as obviously different, it's really subtle, it's just a really subtle kind of out of step kind of thing. And it's interesting also that it's often just as much as the autistic person themselves can also feel it as well, so it works both ways. Your social awkwardness, you're sort of aware that you've done something a little bit awkward, but it's too late now. So, for clenching a fist, for doing that, maybe under, in your pocket so that other people don't see. That's another example of masking or camouflaging a difficulty, because you're under a lot of stress but no one can see it, you're containing it. Tally hates the makeup makeover she has to endure at the sleepover, but she masks this by trying to look calm so as not to annoy her friends. On page 246, the book tells us that Tally gets friendship tips from a magazine. The magazine article says that she should find interesting things to talk about and ask questions that the other person feels listened to and important. Again, this is an accurate portrayal of masking and how autistics can develop coping strategies to blend in and hide their difficulties. You can go and read, I remember I did it when I was a teenager, I read Jump magazine, J17, the teenage magazines, that would give you advice about friendship and that. So you'd read these magazines, you try in your own way to kind of mimic it, but obviously it always came out slightly awkward. You never quite got it right, hence the fact, I still ended up with no friends. But you are trying, you're trying to mask it. So, your social difficulties are there, but they might not come out as obvious to other people. And yet, I think others still sense that you're different and a bit strange. I was once actually told by a girl in my class, who actually wrote it in my leaving book on our last day, she said that I was a true individual. I'm not quite sure what she... I suppose at one level, that's kind of like quite nice, she called me a true individual. But, I think, like, obviously if your kids in my class, they could sense I was a bit odd, a bit strange. But they couldn't quite place it. So I think, no matter how many magazines we read about how to make friends, etc., the problem is that due to our autism, we can struggle to apply the information in real life situations, and by acting out a script, we increase the likelihood of coming across as socially awkward and different. But because the autism is concealed, people are more likely to bully or exclude us because they have no explanation as to why we appear so inexplicably odd. I did feel that the ending was rather unrealistic. I won't tell you what happened in order not to spoil the plot for those who have not read it, but I did feel the ending was a little bit, too optimistic. I guess, the author was, wanting to put in there a nice happy ending, for the teenage readership, but I did feel it's a bit unrealistic. And I would also have liked it if Tally's special interest in the singer Taylor Swift was further explored. I like the fact Tally's interest was not stereotypical trains or maths, but with an actual person, something that is more common among autistic girls, mirroring my teenage obsession with Kate Winslet. But, I would have liked to have heard a little bit more about her special interest. Maybe she mastered it at school, so didn't talk about it. That's quite characteristic of the sort of what many autistics do, particularly women, girls, is that, by the time you get to teenage years, you're trying to want to fit in. You sort of are aware on one level that maybe it's not appropriate to constantly talk about this, so you try and not to. That keeps it hidden. But obviously, you're just as obsessed as that boy over there monologuing about trains. It's just a more kind of hidden, at least when you're at school, and then obviously when you get home, that's all you can talk about. That's all your parents hear. When I got home, all I would talk about was Kate Winslet, non-stop. Every conversation, Kate Winslet. I wouldn't really talk about anything else. Obviously when I was at school, I was trying to fit in, I was trying to blend in, but I didn't really talk much at school anyway. I went down a quiet path, apart from those times when I was a little bit disruptive. So, I kind of veered from being a bit obviously weird and a bit disruptive, which obviously meant people laughed at me. I thought they were laughing with me, but actually it turned out they were laughing at me, but at the time I didn't understand the distinction, which is probably to the best really, because otherwise it might have upset me more than it did, because I actually thought, wait, you're laughing! Not realising, of course, they were taking a mickey. That realisation came later. But yeah, I would have liked to find out more about her obsession with Taylor, I say in inverted commas, or intense interest in Taylor Swift, and maybe, as she mastered her autism at school, but then revealed herself at home. I would have liked to to be a bit of writing in here about how her interests, just a bit more about her special interest really in Taylor Swift would have been interesting. So caveat aside, the ending, which I felt was a bit unrealistic, and the fact it didn't go into too much detail about her interests, I did feel the book did a good job in tackling autism stereotypes, and its exploration of masking and camouflaging did feel realistic. So all in all, I would give this book probably about 7 or 8 out of 10 for its representation of autism. And I do, if you want to read some fiction with an autistic character, I would recommend reading this book. Okay, so I'm going to finish this review now. As I say, I'm filming on Tuesday today instead of my usual Wednesday because I'm going on an outing tomorrow with my support worker. But I'll be filming again next Wednesday as usual. So I hope you have a good week, and I look forward to speaking to you again next Wednesday. So thank you for watching.